Am I audible right now? Uh,
Yes, you're audible.
okay, perfect. Just to reiterate what Kiran said, because the voice did break a couple of times. We will be handling questions at the end of the webinar, and make sure you address the person you're asking a question to. It's hard to run a situation with 100 people asking a lot of questions, so we are going to do the questions the way we did the last time. We got back a lot of valid feedback from all of you, so that is very important to us. Without further ado, I am Srijit. I graduated in 2016 with the chemistry majors, and now I am a part of the ISMOHALI Alumni Association as an executive member, and I'm doing my PhD at the University of Colorado in Boulder in biophysics. And for today, we have two amazing speakers lined up. Firstly, we have Gaurav Agarwal. Gaurav was a part of the MS9 batch, and they were the most active batch when I got in campus in 2011. And Gaurav has been a very active participant, one of the first people who brought about the institute culture in ISMOHALI. He was actively involved in almost every student-run activity that took place in ISMOHALI till he was there. A contribution from Gaurav's presence as the cultural secretary of ISMOHALI's SRC. He was also one of the founding members for the Fest Insomnia, also with the precursor to the Insomnia Conoscenza. He was also an active part in that event. Gaurav graduated with majors in mathematics, and he went on to go and work for Deloitte, and currently is a senior solution advisor at Deloitte in Hyderabad. He works in the financial services industry, where he makes, assesses, reviews various mathematical models for that different banks use. Gaurav has been an active member of the Alumni Association for the last 2 years, and also holds an ex officio president position. In today's webinar, Gaurav will be sharing some details and anecdotes from his experiences in ISER, and also some of the things that he learned the hard way. He will reflect upon his exposure that he has received, and also about the people he works with and the problems he works with. Towards the end, he will highlight the importance of how networking has really helped him at the end of where he is right now, of his successful career. So with that, I would pass on the stage to Gaurav.
Thank you so much, Srijit. Just a quick check. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to see me? And can you see my screen?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'll start with, yeah, okay. First of all, this is quite overwhelming to see so many participants dialing in, wanting to, expressing interest in listening to what we as an association are trying to share with them. I acknowledge this absolute honor and privilege, and I extend a very warm welcome to all of you. As Srijit mentioned, I am Gaurav Agarwal. I was a student at ISER from 2009 to 2014. I am currently working as a senior solution advisor at Deloitte. I primarily work in the financial services industry. I make, review, and assess various mathematical models for the banks I work with. In my current job profile, I use the concepts of probability theory, stochastic calculus, statistics, and various other data science techniques. I would say that Python has become a preferred language of communication for me. Over the last 2 to 3 years, I've been involved with the Alumni Association, and we've been trying to set up such platforms where we can have more open discussion amongst the students as well as the alumni body. That is helpful for us to grow collectively. Today, I'll talk about some of the anecdotes from my experience, some of the lessons that I learned the hard way, and and I'll hope that these experiences help you prepare yourself for the goals that you have in mind. So yeah, I'll start with how I was at ISER and who I was at ISER. I come from a city called Jalandhar in Punjab. When I joined ICER, I did not have a good knowledge, or I was not well aware of what a career in science would mean, what a training in basic sciences would mean. Nevertheless, I joined ICER. I came in here, I made a lot of friends. I took part in various events. I attended many classes. I did bunk a few as well. Uh, if I have to put it in one line, I think I danced my way through college, and yeah. So the first story that I would want to share with all of you is from my first year at ICER, and we were in Sector 26 in Chandigarh, and in the transit campus, the hostels were not as magnanimous as they are today, and we were six of us staying in a dormitory, and like a close friend of mine, Saksham, I think he's dialed in here today. He would just bring us all together and say कि चलो आओ यार कोई कहानी सुनाओ आज. And at that point it was a joke for us, and he would often retort saying Thadani ji. Thadani is what he used to call me in college, and he'd be like Thadani ji, ज्ञान की गंगा बहती रहनी चाहिए. So a joke to me then, but how this life has been spanning out, I have come to realize the profoundness in that statement. That is कि ज्ञान की गंगा बहती रहनी चाहिए, which is that you should keep learning, you should try and expand your knowledge, and you should share your knowledge with your peers. And so that is the first one of the most important lessons that I learned from a friend I met in ICER. So my first 2 years at ICER, I did my mandatory courses. I think if you look at the pictures that I've put on, most of you will be able to relate to. You may have gone through similar experiences. I took part in almost all the events that were taking place at ICER. There was no event at ICER where I was not on stage wearing a weird costume, doing some weird steps, and yeah. So cut to the point where we were about to make a choice about the majors that we were going to pursue, and the faculty had kindly organized a session where they were taking questions and kind of helping us make this choice. And in that session, one of us asked them that we are going to be trained in something very theoretical. We're going to do pure sciences, and how do we know that people outside this sphere, people outside the academic circle, will they ever be able to relate to our skills? Will they ever be able to assess us based on any skills or knowledge that we develop here? So, and I'm sure many of you would be able to relate to this question, and this would resonate with what many of you are going through at this point. And Professor Kapil Pranjapay, he was the maths HOD at that point, and he mentioned that he mentioned something which I have kept with me for this long, and I'll share the gist of it with you. So he said of all the things that you will be assessed in life, of all the qualities that you'll ever be judged on in life, the most important one is your capability to finish what you've started. And if I can urge you, I would say finish what you've started, see it to completion, do justice to whatever you are doing. In my opinion, it solves two purposes. One, it gives everybody around you the confidence that you have the capability to take something to completion. You have the capability to see a task through. And second, and I think the most important for you, is that it relieves you of any baggage that you would have carried otherwise. So so with this, our second year ended. I chose maths as my majors. Over the next 2 years, I again participated in many events. I became the cultural secretary, along with many friends at ICER. We organized many events. We formed many clubs. We organized the first installment of Insomnia, the ICER Cultural Fest. And here I would like to give a big shout out to many of you who are participating in Insomnia, Ashke, Bhangra Group, the Lodi, the Onam celebrations, and various other clubs. And I would like to thank you for keeping this legacy going on and like keeping the campus alive. So the fifth year started. I started writing my dissertation in diffusion processes in probability theory, and soon it was time to apply for the PhD positions. And I had a CG of something around 7 points, and I was eligible for the the Inspire PhD fellowship program. So I chose to apply for the PhD positions at ICER Pune and IIC Bangalore. The interviews for these two were scheduled for like 5 or 6 days apart. So I reach ICER Pune, and my interview is scheduled. I enter the room. There are 7 faculty members in the panel that will be interviewing me. I'm standing in front of a blackboard with a chalk in my hand, and they just start throwing questions at me. After 1 hour, I come out of that room totally destroyed. I can still remember that I just felt that I am not prepared for what is coming at me in future. And it is at this point that some very good friends at ICER, they like pulled me back on track. They kept me motivated, and they helped me take this in the stride. And it was from Pune. I took a bus to Bangalore. I booked a guest house opposite IIC Bangalore, and I prepared for the next 4 or 5 days for the interview at IIC. I went in for the interview there, and I came out confident that I'll get through, and I did get through. The fifth year ended like this for me. And so the third lesson that I retrospectively learned, and I relate to this incident, is that there will be a number of times when you will feel that you're on the ground, when you will feel that you've been cancelled by the world around you. All I can say is don't give up on yourself, and catch hold of people who bring the best out of you. I am back in the campus. We got a very like a tremendous farewell from my juniors. The convocation happened. I got my degree. I came back to my hometown, and this is when I met a cousin of mine whose friend was working at Deloitte. And from our discussions, he kind of indicated that maybe I should apply for a job there and try my hands at corporate as well. I thought maybe why not? Like I should give it a try, and I applied for a position. My interview was scheduled. I was called in for an interview with Shailendra Garg. He is a very decorated quant in Deloitte. He did his education from Columbia University in New York, and so 3 minutes into the interview, he asks me for my dissertation, and I email it to him, and he starts questioning me on the dissertation that I wrote. The interview was scheduled for an hour, but it went on for like 2.5 hours. And at the end of this interview, he asked me if I had any questions for him. So I couldn't resist myself, and I just asked that I am someone who I think have been trained on theoretical mathematics. I have no idea what the industry would need. I have no idea what this job would ask me for. I don't know if I'm the right fit for this job. And do you think the skills that I've developed over the last 5 years will be relevant at all at what I am doing? So at this point, he responds. He says that 364 days on this job in a year, you may feel that whatever you've learned so far is not relevant, and you've been made to do things that you were not prepared for. But there'll be this one day in the year when you will be the smartest person in the room, and you will have the solution to the problem at hand. And this is something that has kept me motivated in my current role. This is something that I keep in mind while working at Deloitte. So the fourth lesson that I have learned, and I would outline I'll highlight for all of you, is don't ever write off the skills, the learning that you're getting at ICER. Don't don't think that the training that you're getting at ICER is not going to help you enough in the career of your choice. If you choose to go into academics, if you choose to go outside academics and explore other things, I believe that the training that you have, the mental capability that you're going to build, and the composure that you're going to get based on the training at ICER is going to be the differentiator for you when you'll be put on a platform with students from other universities. Yeah, so I joined Deloitte. I went there. Uh, I realized that I soon realized that I'm working with very knowledgeable peers. I had peers from almost all the esteemed universities in India, IITs, IIMs, ISI. There were many centers of economics and statistics, and so and globally, like we had peers from London School of Economics, we have peers who came from Columbia, who came from Michigan, NYU, and based on the experience in the last 5 years with them, I would say that sorry, the training that we've had at ICER, the training that you are going to receive in the next few years or that you've been going through is almost at par with any other university or any other school in the world. There are some differences in exposure. There are some differences in our preparedness or our awareness about what the other side may require, and I feel that those are minor things and can be learned and can be built on. Um, so yeah, so based on all the stories that I've shared with you, as Srijit mentioned, I wanted to talk to you guys about the importance of networking. Um, Based on my experiences, I can highlight that the most important lessons that I have learned in my life are from the people around me. These are the lessons that were told to me in a joke, in as an answer to a question, and and I feel that this will come to be the case for many of you as well. So, so the final I would want to say is respect the people around you, respect the exposures that they have, respect their experiences, learn from their experiences, learn from their mistakes, and 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 do not waste time in competing with people when you come across them. Find ways to collaborate with them. Find ways to uh, find avenues of collaboration that will serve you, and yeah, so that would be my final key takeaway. I will end with the final finally with like two lines that I wrote a few years ago, and it goes like, है बेहतर तू या मैं बेहतर था, इस बात में कुछ तर्क नहीं है, पर हाँ तेरे हुनर की नुमाइश में मैं खुद को ढूंढता जरूर हूँ. Loosely translating it, it is not worth discussing whether in a competition you were better than me or I was better than you, or whether you are better placed in life or I am. But what matters is the day when you are shining bright, when you are are the topic of discussion, when your skills are at display. Is there a small, minute, minuscule contribution that came from the interactions that we've had from the experiences that we've shared? And I think if you meet people with this idea, if you network with them, if you find ways to collaborate with them, you will be able to navigate through a lot of problems that you face, and you will come to realize the power of networking in your lives. And so yeah, with that, I would like to thank the IISER Mohali Alumni Association, Professor NGP, Professor Amit, Kiran, and Srijit for organizing this. And thank you to all of you for listening in. If you have any questions, I would love to answer them at the end of the session. If you want to have a one-on-one discussion, I'm available on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me, and we can talk about in more detail about the questions that you may have. For any broader topics that you want to discuss, you can write to the IISER Mohali Alumni Association, and through the mentorship program that Rajni is going to talk about, I'm sure we'll be able to put you in touch with other alumni members who I'm sure will be able to help you with the issues that you're facing. Yeah. With that, thank you again, and back to you, Sri.
So thank you, Gaurav. That was an amazing experience through your journey and to a successful business professional and at Deloitte. In fact, Gaurav happens to be one of those people who directly bridged from an MS to a job, which is rather unique. And we have a WhatsApp group that goes on talking about the backup and the logistics of this. And within that, Amit sir came up with a trivia that I had no idea, and it happened all the time when I was here. And so apparently Gaurav was Culsec for 2 terms. Kasturi was also a Culsec, and Rajni was the first ever Culsec of IISER Mohali's SRC. So we are extremely cultural. That was supposed to be a pun, did not work out that way. Anyways. So with that, I thank Gaurav for his amazing speaking capabilities, and please feel free to contact us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or any other social media platform. Just to reiterate something that was discussed was Kirandeep Kaur will be taking the questions. Kirandeep Kaur is the person, I think so, her connection was a little unstable when we talked about it in the beginning. So address your questions to Kirandeep Kaur, and make sure you ask you mention the name of the person you want to ask a question to. So if your question is directed at Gaurav, mention you are directing this question to Gaurav and send it to Kirandeep Kaur. Then with that, I would start, and also I also see that people are in the logistics department are asking Gaurav to pursue a career as a motivational speaker, which is really interesting. And I second on that, because when I came to the institute for the first time, I remember Gaurav mentioned this, culture banta hai tum logo se. Tum log banaoge culture. And he was the Culsec when I came into the institute. And like a poor first year, I was like, yeah, this guy can speak. Anyways, with that, I come to introduce our second speaker for the day. It's Rajni. Rajni Ranjan was from the first batch of IISER Mohali, MS 2007, which graduated in 12. I had the privilege of meeting that batch till something which is graduating this year. So it was a huge spectrum that I have seen. Well, there goes the spectroscopist in me. Then secondly, Rajni was a mathematics major, like Gaurav, and I know Rajni personally from the IMQC, and it's really Rajni and I keep talking about the fact that the IMQC is still so active and works so hard, and it's kept the culture running. Again, a culture joke. Rajni was also a part of the IISER Mohali Alumni Association last year, and the idea of webinars and an alumni mentorship program is all her brainchild. Rajni, after finishing her master's from BSMS from IISER Mohali, went on to IIM Indore. She completed her MBA from IIM Indore, and then she has approximately 5 years of experience in financing and consulting. She's worked for Deutsche Bank and also for 2 of the fastest growing startups in India. One of them, which was erstwhile called Urban Clap, and now is the Government of India Urban Company, I guess. Then she currently works for Grow, which is again one of the fastest growing startups in India, and she would basically focus on the entry into the professional world after graduation and introduce the alumni mentorship platform. That's something that the IMAA is trying to come up with. With that, I hand the stage over to Rajni.
Thank you, Shajit. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are, and I switch off.
All right. So thank you for allowing me to speak to students and alums alike, and I'm very privileged, very happy to be here today. And as I'm from the first batch, it's a lot of nostalgia coming back for me. Although I can't see all the faces right now, but I can imagine many of my classmates, many of my teachers, and I can see a sudden rush of adrenaline through me, because for all of us, it was like building something together in college. I and like my batchmates and our professors, everyone used to work together. So that is the I think the essence what I carried through my 5 years, and also I still do. So I just want to start with a couple of pictures that I have from that time. Most of you may not remember, may not obviously know these people, but it will give you a good sense of where we started from. So let's just go and look at it. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, it is.
So this is the first plan that we had for our college, for our institution, which was supposed to be built in Mohali. And at that time, we were stationed in Chandigarh in Sector 26. So this is the building which you are currently seeing in concrete, but we just had an idea of it. We had this vision, and that is what kept us going. So I just wanted to share this plan with you. This is our first batch of 25 people. Very small batch, but very enthusiastic. And I'm really glad that I got to share my college life with all of these people. This is the first batch plus the entire strength of college. So that includes our professors, our staff, teaching, non-teaching, almost everyone. So you can imagine how small we were. We worked together as our, like, it was something homegrown for us. So ISER has been more a personal journey for me rather than purely academic. So this gives you a sense of what we were then. This is the first and the second batch together. You can see how small we were, but also how happy we were together. So that is very visible. Now this is on the day of groundbreaking ceremony when we went to the campus site. There was a puja going on, so we just roamed around and clicked a few pictures. This is one of those pictures. I just browsing through my old pictures, I found this and I thought it'll be very interesting, because now we would, like, I can imagine buildings and hostels and NMR facility and whatnot coming up on this ground right now. So you will not see this now, but just wanted to show you what it was back then. So I'll just stop sharing, come back to what I want to talk about. So this was just a journey down the memory line. I am really happy to be here to share my views, my thoughts, my journey with you. I'll start with what I did after ISER, during ISER, and after ISER. So let me just sure. So I completed my ISER by my BSMS degree in mathematics, and after that I joined IIM Indore to complete my MBA. So I took, naturally, because I had studied maths, I had an inclination towards finance. So that is what I did in IIM as well. And during that, I joined, after my IIM, I joined Deutsche Bank's investment banking team. So I worked with them in oil and gas industry in India and Hong Kong. And after that, I joined Urban Company, which was then Urban Clap. So it's basically a services marketplace. And I worked in various capacities, including their business development and their business finance. After that, I actually wanted to experiment what working with government is like, because a lot of people in my family have worked with government, and I was very keen on exploring what this option can be, and also to somewhat fulfill my desire of being able to work for people directly. So I joined Quality Council of India. It is a semi-government organization which works with different ministries on projects with bureaucrats and smaller teams. So during my time there, I got to work with the chairman of QCI. There was a chairman's office, and I worked as a project manager, leading teams with different ministries. I worked with the Commerce Ministry, with Railways, with Home Ministry. So it was a very good experience for me, because I personally got to interact with very senior bureaucrats, and so basically the who's who of Indian bureaucracy, you can say. And I got to see how they work, and apart from the third person's view that we always get in the open, I got to see it from my own eyes and experience, and to understand the challenges that government faces when there is any new initiative which is supposed to be launched, or any change that is there that is to be made in the whole setup. So I did understand how hard it is to get that through, and I also worked on helping them get over it, working on technology-based transformations. So that is what I did with them. After that, I joined Grow. Grow is a fintech startup, and it's based out of Bangalore. So here I am working in the business finance team. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Now going back to my ISER journey, I wanted to share some insights and lessons which I gained through my time there. So hopefully some of it may help you, some of it may just evoke some thoughts, and you can introspect and come up with your own insights from them. So when we started, as I said, the batch strength was very small. We were 25 people, and few professors who helped us with, who started with the courses and helped us understand with both the academic and the non-academic parts of life, and especially new college life. So we started small. There was a lot of one-to-one interaction with the faculties. So that was a great aspect of our being the first batch, apart from many others. So apart from that, there was, even though ISER was very small at that time, the whole setup was nothing was basically compromised on. So if I say uh, even if it comes to facilities that we couldn't have set up in such a small amount of time, we were always given the option to collaborate with our institutes. We had options to go to the Punjab University and other such facilities and conduct our researches there, and like whatever we required, we were given that. There was no I don't think there was any shortcoming when it comes to facilities part being in a new institute. So that has been really great for us, and it's really commendable on part of the founding members and the professors and staff who were there at that time. Secondly, now talking about my journey in specific, what I really tried to do during my college days is, because we did not have any seniors or anyone to approach to when it comes to like doubts, and even our like batch strength was very small. So if someone had a doubt, it was quite probable that many in the batch would have that. And if 5 people in small so basically what I'm trying to say is, if you further divide that into different streams, for example in maths, if you have 6 out of the 25 people, then it's almost impossible to get help on any doubt or anything like that. So like our workaround at that time was to firstly, of course, reach out to the professors. Secondly, if it's not possible because of timings or something like that, then we always used to do a lot of internet-based research. We used to follow a lot of courses. I personally used MIT OCW extensively for my for the courses. I used to download lectures, PDFs, and used to read it. So that helped me a lot. Probably that is something that you can also explore. There are courses on NPTEL by professors. There are many other video courses on Coursera as well. So those are a few resources that you can get help from in case you get stuck during your academic journey at ISER. Secondly, I think this it's not just about academics, but the whole process of trying to solve your own problems or developing this self-learning capability, which is very important. So as ISER has said in its, as ISER's motto says, that we are in pursuit of knowledge. I think that is something that we should all inculcate within ourselves. We should try to learn on our own. We should try to make sure that nothing hampers our learning process. So this core is what I want, so is what I would hope that we all carry with us, the core of being able to do self-learning and always be on the pursuit of knowledge. Secondly, on a smaller point than the first one, but still an important one. So about the summer internships, many of us, I think all of us did do summer internships, but at that time we were not very sure of what is the outcome going to be, what is the objective of this summer internship program. So I think by now many of you would be interacting with your seniors, with your professors, and you would know that it is a very important step, very important part of your curriculum there. So make sure that you use it very wisely. This is one way where you can, if you are unsure about the field that you're going to be taking, or if you really want to go deep into an area and see if you want to go ahead or not, you can go there and you can try and get an internship in that area, and you can explore that option. So this is a very low risk kind of way where you can, get into a new area and understand what it is all about, and also strengthen your base in something if you've already decided to go ahead with that. So for example, in my case, I was very sure that I wanted to do mathematics. So all my 5 summer projects were in mathematics, and fortunately, I was in fact sure about the area as well. So I managed to do them in algebra, which was really great. So for once, one of the internships I did was a kind of experimental, where I went to TIFR and I worked in number theory. That was very, very exciting. That is probably one of the times which I still cherish. I made very good friends over there. And although the topic was not something I continued later, but it was very, very interesting. And I learned what Ramanujan had done in one of the fields. I learned about Hilbert's problems. So that was very interesting. So I would suggest all of you should do experimentation if you're not sure, and if you're sure, then you should definitely try to go ahead and build strengthen it further through internships. Lastly, you should also be aware of the other activities that are happening on campus. So as Gaurav said, it is very important to be an all-rounder when it comes to personality, not because not because you owe it to someone else, but you owe it to yourself. Because once you go out of the college system, it's only you who you can rely upon. So you have to build all the capability that you can during these 5 years. And I think taking part into activities, taking responsibilities is one way that you can do it really well, and you can do it at a much lesser cost now than later, because the margin of error is really not high once you go out of college. So please keep that in mind. Try to be involved as much as you can, and I mean, of course, not jeopardizing your studies, but doing alongside whatever you can, you should definitely do and be passionate about it. Then so what I want to talk about is how during your course structure you can keep a very vigilant eye upon what you're going to do after, and how you're going to strengthen it. So for example, in academics course, as I said, you should research your course content carefully before you take it. So if you've already decided what you're going to do, just try to do some Google research, learn about course contents. You'll get to know what those different courses are about, and whether you should take them or not. Secondly, new courses like data sciences, courses in statistics are very important from mathematics perspective, because in ISER, you know that maths is not just about numbers and stats, but outside, many of the people who hear that you're a mathematician would expect you to at least know a little bit of statistical analysis, some amount of data science. So this is something that is really going to be helping you. So please keep a lookout on similar courses. Next, the tools that you can build are tools like LaTeX, which will really help you to write any papers. I think I learned it in my first year in summer internship, when Professor Pasi asked me to write my internship project in LaTeX. So at that time, I was really scared, because I had no senior to tell me to. None of my other friends were doing it in LaTeX. So I actually got very worried, but I started researching online. I found a couple of good PDFs to learn how to write in LaTeX, and over time I improved it. But I think in the first year itself, I did an okay job of writing a research report in LaTeX, which is indispensable to maths, as I now learn. So that is one thing you can do. Next, there are some softwares like MATLAB and SPSS and all. If you have access to it in the campus, do use them. Do try to learn. Many of our professors are also very very comfortable with such software, so they can probably help you learn it. So that is another thing. Next, regarding the soft skills, while doing the courses, how you can prepare yourself for the future exams. So for example, in GATE, GRE, or in any such exams, you have to be very comfortable with the language part, with comprehension part. So all of these things are not something that you can learn in overnight. So you have to try to keep building those capabilities, building those aspects of your personality throughout your life. So try to take part in more conversations. Try to read. If you are not interested in reading novels, you can read newspapers, you can read scientific articles. So there were a couple of sites which I was suggested. There's something called Plus Magazine, which I used to read a lot. It talks about very simple maths experiments, but very interesting and intuitive ones, counterintuitive at times. So that is something you can explore from a maths perspective. Probably you can search more for other such subjects as well. Next, this will also help you to learn how to write an SOP later. So almost for all the summer internship applications that you have in India and abroad, and even for PhD, postdoc, any kind of applications you do, you have to write an SOP is what I know. So that will really help you be prepared from the beginning. Next, in especially, this is probably especially from a maths perspective, but will also help you in other subjects, is something like data visualization. So for example, in future, if you have to talk about what you have been doing so far, what are your results of experiments, or if you have to convince a committee for a grant or something, which you'll probably have to do after maybe in a postdoc or something. So that for that you have to be aware of how to talk about your research in something in layman terms, how to be able to show that research outcome in simple language which people who are not experts in your field can understand. So in this the data visualization tools can really help you. So if you have access to Excel, PowerPoint, such softwares, you should try and use them. There are many tools available in Excel as well, like regression, data analysis, and many other features. So you can use the charts feature, you can make charts, and you can learn all that, because these are just hygiene factors which will help you later, which will help you save a lot of time when it really comes to it. And not just later, like during grants and all, it will also help you throughout in your research reports also, because all of these involve a lot of data visualization nowadays. So it's not just specific to maths in these days. Now, after that, if we talk about what are the other concrete things that you can do while you are in college, you can probably look at the certifications. So if you are into academics, you would have definitely heard about NET, GATE, GRE and such exams. So that those are one aspects. Then if you're not into academics and if you really want to explore other areas, then for finance, there are CFA exams, the Chartered Financial Analyst, the FRM exams. There are NCFM modules which you can take online, and then there are project management exams, then there are Six Sigma exams. All of these exams are something that you can do with little bit of preparation and basically get a certification which can help you in future for any job application or any kind of MBA application. So that really helps. Now, I want to specifically talk about what if it is not if you're not into academics. So if you're not into academics, you first have to ask why do you want to go out of academics, or why do you want to explore alternate careers? Because it's not just about it should not be a question of it should not be an answer in a negative way. So it should not be like, I don't want to do academics or I don't want to do research. It should be something that you want to do. So it should be something, for example, I really want to do a lot of data analysis, and that is why I want to be a data scientist. So just try to ask it to yourself. You'll get the answer. Just make sure that it's not a negative answer, because the grass is always greener on the other side. So you may just be convincing yourself of a fact which is actually not a fact. So just make sure that you do a research before you decide what you want to do. Secondly, your own personal strengths are very important in deciding the future success of your future career. So make sure that you evaluate yourself from the strengths perspective as well. So just giving an example here. So when I told my guide, Professor Pasi, that I want to go for MBA, he highlighted that I've never seen you talking I've never seen you talking aloud in class. I don't know what you'll do in those group discussions. So that was very enlightening for me, because I hadn't thought it from that perspective. That is a very integral part of not just doing an MBA, but everything you do after that. So you have to be a very good speaker, a convincing negotiator, and all of those traits were probably not within me at that time. So that is one one insight that I got from him, I started working more on that. So this is also some reflection that you should do. You should probably speak to your mentors and your friends who can help you do that. And if you really want to build some strengths, I would say that it's not impossible to develop these characteristics. So you can start working on those, but it's only possible when you realize it beforehand. So that is very important. Now, there are some skills in maths which are now ubiquitous to many fields. So for example, in data science, analytical and logical skills, because in almost all the tests or interviews that you give nowadays, you have to have that perspective. So this is one way in which maths specifically helped me a lot, because even in CAT, even in all the maths courses in my MBA, I was comfortable because of the fact that I was already exposed to a certain logical way of thinking. So that had been working in my favor. So just wanted to point that out. Now, as far as ICER's contribution is concerned, I think it was immense for my journey. Firstly, because I was involved in building up a lot of things at ICER, both from a viewer perspective as well as someone who has hands-on experience of doing that. So, for example, I would like to. Basically, the biggest thing about ICER I want to point out is its interdisciplinary culture. So in the first 2 years, we all used to question, why do we have to study biology? Why do we have to study chemistry when I want to do a major in maths? So I only realized it much later when I entered into Deutsche Bank. I was assigned an industry of oil and gas. So having studied chemistry in my college really helped me understand the whole process very easily. And since you have to be in any, for example, even consulting, you can be assigned a lot of different domains, and then consultants spend a lot of time trying to learn about that industry, learn about how the processes go. If you already have an exposure to a lot of these fields early on, it will really help you immensely to shorten that learning period and basically fast track your curve over there. So that really helped me a lot in my Deutsche Bank's experience. Secondly, something that you can probably do right now is spend some time developing your personal skills. So one of the summer vacations, what I did was I learned Java, although it was not required for any of my courses. But later on, when I went to Urban Club, at that time, so basically my role involved talking to a lot of different teammates, understanding the different processes in detail. That included the tech backend process as well. So having exposure to Java, I could talk to them in that language and understand what they were doing. So that really helped me. I learned SQL pretty fast, so I could take my own data out and do my own analysis. That reduced a lot of dependency from their side. So these are just a couple of things that I gained from what I did. Now, just want to touch upon a couple of points about my experience with 3 different sectors. So one is of course the corporate sector, one is the government sector, and one is the startups. So now in government sector, the impact that you can create is immense. So any initiative that you do is invariably touching a lot of people, a lot of lives. So that impact part is the biggest motivation that can help you grow in that role. There are a number of, I would say, there are a number of issues which can crop up if you're working in a government sector. For example, the results are usually not very fast to see. So if you're a result oriented person, you probably may not be very happy about it. Secondly, there is a lower tolerance of error, because anything you do, and if there is a 1% error, you end up impacting a lot of people in a very big way. So that is something you have to take care. So secondly, the technology part may not be up to date, and the transient, there's a huge dependency on bureaucracy, and some of these people are being transferred at random times, so often your projects can get stuck. So these are the issues that you can face in while working in a government setup. Now in a startup, the whole game is very different. You have to be very fast, you have to have multitasking abilities, you have to be very, very convincing in what you're going to do, because no one else is going to decide that for you. So you have to do all the analysis, you have to make all the decisions yourself, and you have to own the responsibilities. So this is very critical in a startup. And next, in a startup you get to interact with a lot of different kinds of people, so from different age groups, from different backgrounds, so you have to have the capability to talk to all of them, to basically get along with different kinds of people. So as Gaurav pointed out, I think these aspects, the softer parts of your personality are also very critical when you go out. And I'm not saying this only from the corporate perspective, but also in research domain, these are very important to basically look at. So yeah, this is just what I had from my experience, and probably I'll just hand back over, and I'll talk about the mentorship. Now I'll just talk about the mentorship platform that we have been thinking about. So basically, I think last year I was a part of the alumni association. So we had this discussion about starting doing something for the community. So that's when it all started about. And so finally happy to see that initiative coming to fruition now. So what alumni mentorship platform is meant to do is basically to connect the employee to the alumni to our institute, and also the institute also in return the students to the alumni. So it's not just so alumni association is not just about the alumni, it's as much about the students as well, as much about the institute as well. So because of all of these three factors, there has to be a feedback loop which needs to be closed. So our alumni are now spread across the world, and then a lot of them have a lot of great experiences to share, ways in which they can help the current students and institute as well. So to close that feedback loop, we thought of starting this platform where our alumni in different areas can get in touch with students who need their support on different aspects. So that was the whole idea, very simple one, but I hope it becomes really useful for all of us, including the alumni, because for them it will be a great chance to give back to ICER, to also learn from other students, because I think learning is a constant process. All of us have a lot to gain from this initiative. So I look forward to a lot of you joining that, and please help us by putting in your interests and putting in your inclination, what you want to see on that platform. Do write to us. There'll be a form which will be circulated after the session, so do ensure that you fill it and help us understand how we can make that platform work for you, both requesting both the alumni as well as the students to respond to the same, and we look forward to your feedback. So yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
So thank you, Rajni, for this amazing down the memory lane walk. Looking at the institute pictures where there was nothing except those line of trees which still exist, makes me feel happy. Apart from that, I would really thank Gaurav and Rajni for their sessions. As I kept taking notes along the two speakers, I think two things that Rajni said really strike back to all kinds of science and education, and anything is data visualization. I keep hearing this from even my advisor, and if you want to publish good papers or let people know about your research, you should know good data visualization techniques. And since this has been mainly anecdotal, knowing math is something that in my first year was so there used to be the hostel manager, Mr. Sushil Kanodia. He used to keep going about telling all the first years, like, देखो maths और science ढंग से पढ़ लो और दुनिया में सब कुछ हो जाएगा. And that still strikes back, because all these examinations do test your logical and quantitative reasonings, despite where you go for. Again, just to reiterate, if you have questions for Rajni or for Gaurav, make sure you write down the name of the person you have the question for and send it to Kirandeep Kaur, who is holding the question. She's again from the MS 2007 batch, one of the first, not one of the first, it is the first batch of IISER Mohali. And after that, we will do a vote of thanks by Martik. And with that, that's for Kiran's side.
Okay. Thank you, Srijit. I hope I'm audible. So I won't be switching on my video at all because my network today is fantastic. So without further ado, the first question is from Sumaya Sande, and I'll just be unmuting her. Sumaya, you can take the floor now.
Yes, my question is to Gaurav.
You can start your video.
No, I cannot
Okay.
open my video. It's okay. Okay, so can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Sumaya.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So my question is, how is a regular day at Deloitte? Is it more like mathematics or theory oriented, or more of a computing oriented?
Um, okay, so a good question. So this is exactly why I was asking such questions in the beginning to people at Deloitte. And so a regular day at Deloitte is where we have documents, as you have you would have seen the review papers and papers on a certain research in for banks. They create model documents that documents the technicalities, the mathematics of a model that they're using. Since these are proprietary models, they're not public. They reside in the bank's environment. And a regular day for me is where I read through those models, try and independently implement the procedure that they have mentioned in my system. That would require some level of computing, that would require some level of understanding of the mathematics to do the derivations, and then like run a few tests on the model. We would want to see if the model that the bank is using is stable, is the model able to take a certain stress in the economy, like we see right now due to the COVID situation. There is like unexpected level of stress in the economy, and so the banking models are expected to be able to take this level of stress, and the scenarios like run on a bank, or the banks losing their capital, or depositors losing their capital does not happen. So yeah, so a regular day is where I go through these models. I prepare my review reports. I do certain analysis. Some of it requires computing because they're when it comes to banks models, they're based on large number like large data, and doing it by hand is not a possible option. So yeah, it requires some level of computing as well. Yes. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Soumya. So the next question is actually both for Divya. So both for Gaurav as well as Rajni. So I'll give both of you 1 minute each to quickly answer this question. Was the transition from academia to corporate a difficult one? And this question comes from Divya Suman. So 1 minute each, both of you.
Okay, is Rajni going first?
Okay, you go first. The screen
Okay.
is your screen is on. Yeah.
All right. So for me, I in the beginning I was really excited to go work in a corporate. I like we've seen in the movies people wearing formals, going to office, and so all of those images were broken quite like quite soon. And but then since we were working with models, since I was working with a lot of so there was a lot of mathematics involved, and there was a lot of learning that I had to do. We've not studied finance. We're not aware of the requirements of the banking business. For the first 2 years I was reading a lot of finance. I was doing a lot of courses online, and I think after that I've become used to it. But I think it is more or less the same for people doing. Yeah, this is.
Okay, Rajni.
Yeah, so for me it was slightly different because I entered an MBA college rather than joining the job life directly. So, but still, I would say it was a huge difference for me. My whole life was turned around in the first semester of my MBA. I did not know what credit and debit mean. I did not have any idea about what balance sheets are. So these are the concepts which were introduced, and I had to wake up all night. Used to call up my sister, who's 4 years younger to me, and used to ask her to explain commerce, and while because she was the only commerce student in my house. So that is one aspect where I struggled a lot in my first semester in college. Along with that, as I said, the other things that I mentioned about Excel, using PowerPoint, Word, these are the softwares that we were not using very much in ICER, because these are not very used a lot in scientific, especially in maths. So that these are the things that I had to learn in a very short time. So probably this is one thing that has to be kept in mind. And other than that, I think most of these subjects were very simple. But in MBA, I think I mean, I'm just talking about MBA, but probably true for other corporate jobs as well. It's not about talent per se, as the case is in scientific circles. It's also about the efficiency that you can have. So both, you know, how you use your time, how you use your talent, both of these are very important. So make sure that whether you are in academics or non-academics or any field, you make sure that if you're talented and not being efficient about it, probably someone else is going to beat you to it. So yeah, so that is my take on that.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Rajni. So the next question is to Gaurav. And Gaurav, so this comes from Neeraj Deshmukh as well as Kirandeep Kaur. Both of us want to know
Okay.
that how do we learn to speak like you and capture the, how do we learn to speak and capture the audience's attention the way you do?
Oh, okay. I don't know. I did not plan to do it like this. I just wanted to talk about this is I think I would the most of the credit would go to our discussions in hostel. We used to tell stories to each other. We will kind of we've done all nighters doing that, but I did not plan it like this. And the feedback is really great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And the last question, and this is the last question, this is for Rajni. Rajni, why did you decide to join an MBA program and stay in academia?
Okay, so it's a very difficult question, as difficult as a call it was for me. So I just happened to have written my CAT exams in my final year. So and also I was in touch with for a PhD position. So that was a very I think last minute thing that I had to do, because I was torn between these two choices. I loved maths, I still do, and hope that whatever I've done in either in my maths course or in my dissertation would probably be I mean be a tribute to that. But having said that, I found myself not being very suitable for a long-term career in maths, because I wanted to explore more in depth, more breadth rather than depth. So that is one thing that I wanted to do myself, because at that time I was probably not exposed to a lot of different fields, and I was intrigued by a number of things. I was in quiz club, I used to read a lot, so there were a lot of distractions in my mind when it comes to areas. So I thought I'll probably do better in a field, in a professional field, where I can be more I mean, I can be more in touch with a lot of different topics and more directly dealing with people. So that was a wholly professional and from my personal strength perspective, a decision made on these factors. But I do have very high regards for math. So yeah, I mean, I don't have any answers. As I said in my talk, I don't have answers to why I don't want to do maths, because I always wanted to do. But I do have this answer for why I chose the other way.
So I think we are done with the questions, and with respect to that, we will just a quick reminder. There is the forms for the alumni mentorship program that Rajni talked about are available on the chat. please help us to make this more cohesive between the alumni and the current students. With that, I would introduce Martik Chatterjee, the Vice President of this Board of Directors for the Alumni Association, to conduct a vote of thanks for this event. And thank you everyone for the participation.
So I would like to thank everyone who spoke in our first webinar. Kasturi, Vinay, Rajni, and Gaurav, all really amazing and inspirational talks. I would like to thank Vaishnavi for being a volunteer in this, and Prasad and Amit sir for helping out with all the logistics of using Zoom and like pretty much organizing the logistics. And I would really like to thank everyone who attended our first webinar, and hopefully we'll be having more of these in the future.